Today, we're going to do an upgrade to our Airstream that's long overdue. We are going to change our lead-acid batteries out for lithium. Hi, I'm Jim, and if this is the first time you're joining us, our channel is AirStreamer. Michelle and I travel around the U.S. We live full-time in our 28-foot Airstream International. We sold our house and everything we own to pursue this dream of living on the road. We have a lot of travel and destination videos on this channel, and also videos like this that kind of help you if you're a do-it-yourselfer and trying to upgrade or fix something on your RV. So this video is not going to be an absolute tutorial of exactly how to do this kind of an upgrade, but it's how I chose to do this upgrade. One of the key things that I wanted in upgrading our Airstream from lead-acid batteries to lithium batteries was a very sensible, easy, and inexpensive changeover. I didn't have a desire to move the battery box or all the batteries inside the trailer, create a huge bank so we could run our air conditioning or anything like that. All I'm after is a very simple system so we can boondock for up to 4 nights without having to worry about running out of battery power. Part of the dream of living full-time in an RV is if you don't like the weather, you can get up and move. So like most RVers, we try to chase 70, 75 degrees, and to us, being Michigan natives, that is not air conditioner weather. Michelle and I would much rather have the windows open than be running the air conditioning. So my main things for doing this kind of upgrade was to make sure that it's inexpensive enough to be within anybody's budget, simple enough that even with modest do-it-yourself skills, you can complete this project and have it be successful and safe and secure. With all that said, I'm going to explain now the choice of battery and why I chose what I chose. As I said, I'm not a battery expert or RV expert, so I relied on other people who were doing testing of different batteries, and I'll put a link to the video that I saw that totally impressed me about this brand, which is WattCycle, and how they cut open the battery and the quality of the components. But this is a very budget-minded lithium battery. They are very light and should work out really, really well. Now, a couple of things to make this simple and inexpensive is I wanted batteries with a built-in battery management system or BMS system, and this has that in it. So it's going to shut the battery down when it's too cold for it to charge and shut it down if it gets too hot. Pretty much lithium batteries won't charge below freezing. So when it gets to be that cool, this battery will shut itself down and not accept the charge. Now, a lot of times people install what's called a shunt, and it is kind of a little battery meter type of thing is my best understanding of how that works. And it helps monitor the battery, its usage, how much charge is left in the battery, how fast it's discharging. Well, I didn't want to do that because it's just one more thing to install and another expense. So not only do these batteries have the built-in battery management system, so I don't have to rely on an external shunt to take care of that, it also has Bluetooth in it, so I can monitor the batteries on my phone and see their charge and how fast they're discharging. Not only that, the app, and in fact, I'm going to put it up on the screen right over here right now. You can kind of see what it looks like. The app will show you each individual cell and how they're responding to charge. So one of the first things we're going to need to do for safety's sake is shut off the power, because I don't want to be electrocuted in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to shut off the power, and I'm going to do that simply by turning off the breakers, and I'm going to verify all my lights are out on this, and they are. Now with that power shut off, we can work on disconnecting the batteries and installing our new lithium batteries. On the Airstream, the battery compartment is right here. So we're just going to open that up, and inside here are the 2 lead-acid batteries. Now, I'm not the sharpest knife in the block and don't have the best memory in the world. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of how this is all wired together, so I'll have a pattern to follow when I have to put all of this back together. So we've got all kinds of things in here to disconnect. And the first things I'm going to disconnect are these little leads, these alligator clips which are supplying power to our Halo View rear camera with the built-in TPMS. So I've disconnected those, so that'll shut that off. And like always, I'm disconnecting the negative side first and then the positive side. Now, in order to keep going, it's pretty obvious that I'm going to need some kind of a wrench. So let's go get that. So you may ask, why do we remove the negative terminals first? Well, that's because it's my understanding that the negative is kind of the ground system, not really the ground like in your house ground, but all the metal in your camper is connected, just like in your car, connected to that negative terminal. So if we disconnect the positives and they're floating around, you know, because you saw it's kind of a tight space in there and they can move around. All we need is that positive to touch the negative side or any metal piece and bam, we're going to have a short and a spark. And we really don't want that. So again, we're just trying to stay safe as much as we can. But now we're about to disconnect all the positive connections. Then we're going to loosen up the clamp that holds these batteries in, and we're going to remove these batteries from this compartment. Now that we have those batteries removed, we're ready to work on getting the new batteries installed. But I did want to let you know this is not the first time I've removed these batteries and changed them out. And in fact, we had a time just before we left on our full-time adventure, we noticed there was a huge odor coming from the front of the RV. I thought we had a real bad propane leak, but it was actually one of the batteries that we had was boiling away. So I put 2 new lead-acid batteries in there. It was about 1.5 years ago. Let's take a look at a snippet of that. I couldn't figure out where this was coming from until I realized that directly behind these propane tanks is the battery compartment for our AirStream. It turns out that one of the batteries had gone bad and was boiling away and venting sulfur dioxide into the air. I can't think of much more dangerous than a bunch of sulfur dioxide gas hanging around the LP gas in this area. One little spark, one little ignition, and it would have been a total disaster. Our AirStream does have 2 12-volt lead-acid batteries. I debated at this point taking the time to change everything out to possibly lithium-ion to give us a little more stay time when we go boondocking in the future. But it's going to be a couple of years before we do any serious boondocking, and these lead-acid batteries will easily last 2 to 5 years. And then we weren't even 6 months into our full-time RV journey when we had a problem. And Michelle noticed she turned on the lights in the AirStream and they started to flicker and were incredibly dim. I checked the sea level monitor and it showed 9.6 volts, which means something failed in our system. So I did a lot of troubleshooting and checking on it and finally figured out that what happened was our converter had failed, which is not in a convenient place inside the rig.
So we were supposed to go meet friends today and have some fun in Savannah and go to a couple things and then meet some other friends along with them at a restaurant. But then this happened. So we noticed our lights in the camper were not bright. They were kind of dim and then sort of flickering. So we checked the battery button and it was showing only 8.9, which is not good. And through investigating and Jim pulling stuff out, this is where the converter is or goes. And he's gone. He pulled the old one out and he's in the process of going and picking up a new one.
So I had to actually take that out and run. Luckily there was a Camping World near where we were staying and I was able to get a new converter and put it in. So I am making a totally unplanned, unscheduled trip right now to Camping World. Michelle noticed that the lights in our AirStream were dim and that's never a good sign. Checked all the power. Our power coming in was at 117 volts, so that was good. We checked the voltage on our batteries. They were down to 8.9 volts. That's not good. And then ran all kinds of tests. I was running around frantically with the multimeter, and then ultimately ended up disconnecting the batteries to the Airstream and did a test on the converter, and it's failed. So that's where I'm going right now, is to Camping World. They happen to have one of the converters that we need in stock, so we'll get that and get that changed out. The plus benefit, if there is one in this, the new converter is going to be dual, where it'll do the auto switch over to lithium. So we're going to be able to upgrade our batteries to lithium in the future to give us more staying time when we boondock, which we're going to be doing some boondocking in the future. So anyway, it's a unscheduled couple $100 out of pocket to get this in converter, but in the long run it looks like it's going to be a good thing for us. Luckily for me, the only converter that they had at the store was the dual one, so the converter we have in there right now should be able to fully charge our new lithium batteries. Now as I look in here, I notice there's been a little bit of acid spill either from these batteries or for another. I'm going to see if I can clean that up a little bit, just so that we're a little neater in there for when we put our new batteries in. Well, that took some real doing to get that out of there, but I finally did, and I got the tray out, and then I rinsed it out with water outside, and now I'm drying it off. I just want to make sure that none of that acid remains. I know that I suspect that the outside of standard lead acid batteries are designed to withstand a little bit of acid spill, but I doubt seriously if the lithium batteries can withstand that kind of a nasty environment. But this actually is kind of fortunate, because now I can show you another issue that we're going to have in this changeover. The batteries that were in the Airstream are Group 24 batteries, and this tray is designed to hold those. So the indentations in there are the exact size of this. Our new batteries are their new mini batteries, and I got these so that I could have the Bluetooth in these. So they're going to be a little bit smaller, and they're going to rattle around in there just a little bit. So we're going to have to think about that and see what we want to do. But now I'm at a point where I'm going to drop this tray back in and get set to put in our batteries. Oh, and there's going to be one more modification that we're going to have to do so that these batteries can install properly. I don't know if you noticed, but the new batteries don't have those standard lead battery lugs coming up out of them. And some of the connectors here are designed for those type of posts that come out of the battery. So we're going to have to change these out. So I went and got some lugs to change those out, so that then we can have a ring connector on those and not have this type of connector anymore. And that will enable us to hook up our new batteries. Now that we've got our new leads crimped on here, let's get our tray back in and work on getting our new batteries put in. One thing I haven't talked about is how well packaged these batteries actually are. And so I've opened up one. Let's open up the other one right now, and you can kind of see how this is packaged by them. So nice packaging. There's manuals in here. There's a card with a QR code you can scan for your warranty. There's a manual on the battery and another manual on how to work that Bluetooth app. Then in here we have a top piece of foam. Ooh, maybe I can get this out. Right there. And then our battery is packed right in there with silica gel. It's all in plastic. So we can lift our battery out of there. So it's right here, packaged up. And then it comes with the terminal bolts necessary to hook everything together and some nice caps. And I noticed the bolts are in two different lengths. There's a short bolt and a long bolt, depending on how many connectors you need to hook up. I'm hoping that long bolt works, but if not, I was a very bad Boy Scout. My son was an Eagle Scout, so he kind of taught me. I was prepared. I went to the hardware store, and when I was getting those lugs, I also got some longer stainless steel bolts, a little bit longer. So if we need those, we have other bolts, and these are just 75 cents a piece for the stainless steel. So I figured that was a good investment. But something I may want to do, there's this foam packaging here that wraps around the batteries. I might want to use a little bit of that inside the battery compartment to help keep those batteries a little more stable. Just a thought, thinking about that a little bit. I think this is quite a bit bigger than the Group 24, so I don't want to drop the whole thing in there. But anyway, we'll see how well everything fits together. Let's go finish our installation and get the power cooked back on so we can make some dinner tonight. My solution for the batteries being a little smaller than the Group 24 batteries is I use some of the foam from the carton in here I cut up and put in. I think that'll help cushion these and keep them from jostling as they go down the road. Of course, there's no liquid in there, so nothing to harm there. I don't think it's going to hurt anything because these don't off-gas anything at all. I wouldn't do this with the lead acid batteries because they spill acid and off-gas. These are pretty darn inert. In fact, most people put these inside their rig, but I wanted to keep them outside just so that everything was as stock as possible. So now I'm going to put this clamp down to hold everything in place, and we're going to start hooking our wiring back up so we can power ourselves up. We'll see how everything works. That'll keep them from bouncing around up and down. And now I think what we're going to have to do is refer to that photo I took to make sure everything is where it was in wiring. So I'm going to be looking at this photo and make sure I get everything all set. And I do have it oriented the same way it was, where the positives are towards the trailer itself and the negative terminals are towards the propane tanks. So I'm going to start studying this and getting all my wires hooked up. I'm thinking we should do this in reverse order. I should hook up all the positive first and then hook up the negative last, because as soon as I hook up the negative, the chassis is going to be powered. And there we have it, a simple install. 2 lithium-ion batteries, no, not lithium-ion, lithium iron phosphate batteries swapped out from our lead-acid batteries. So when I checked the app a little bit ago, they said the batteries were at 42% power. And so let's connect into our 2 batteries here. So one, it's showing it's discharging, it's at 42%. And the other one too, 65, shows at 42% as well. So we are going to now turn on the power at the pedestal, and that should fire everything up and start these things charging. So let's see what happens there. I thought I'd show you on the app what the charging looks like. So we're going to open the app up here like this in BMS. Oh, it had disconnected, so it'll connect the two devices, and we're going to check the 60 first, 60. So we'll check that one. And that shows it is charging. It's at 43%. And look, you can see the just the graphics. The green is coming in. Everything is checks out okay. And it's showing the charge is coming in. It shows the temperature of all the various cells and then the voltage of all the cells right there also on the app. So we'll check the other battery. Let's see, that was 60. So now we got to check 65 and see how that guy's doing. Same kind of thing, it's at 43%. So in a short amount of time, they should be back up to 100%. And in future videos, we're gonna start doing some testing on these, kind of our pre-boondocking. How long, if I turn the power off, how long can we run? Before, with our lead acid batteries, we could boondock one day that we were comfortable, and then things got a little hinky. But of course, the batteries were compromised because our inverter, or not inverter, our converter had failed, the converter charger. So those batteries were compromised. And we do generally turn on the inverter inside for a couple hours at night to watch some YouTube videos, some of our favorite other content creators. That's kind of our evening wind down, and our system has to run through the inverter on that. So anyway, we're really excited to be testing this thing out. And when we leave, we're going to leave and start making our way north, and heading north kind of towards the Pacific Northwest, and we're going to be doing quite a bit of boondocking along the way, and we'll be able to really check these out and see how well they work. But now I got to get my tools all picked up. Michelle just got home with all of our groceries, and we're going to start working on getting some dinner together. And look at this, we're already up to 44% on that battery. I'm going to have to name these something else other than 65 and 60. That's not the best name. You can rename the devices with the app, but you can't change the temperature to Fahrenheit for us people that aren't real swift and need the Fahrenheit address or Fahrenheit temperatures. I'm going to have links to the WattCycle batteries and some other stuff in the description below. I'll also probably at some point have thrown a QR code up on the screen to make it a little easy if you want to check out the WattCycle batteries. Again, very highly recommended so far. Everything I've checked into, they're a very quality unit, and we're really excited with this partnership with WattCycle. I do want to let you know that WattCycle did send us these batteries at no charge to test out and see how well they work in this kind of application. They haven't asked me to do any kind of positive review or anything, so no matter what happens, I'm going to let all you know how well these work or don't work in the field and what our real-world application is for our very basic, very simple lithium setup in our Airstream.